such a great opportunity to come together again and to just enter the breath of this circle. So let's take a moment to do that, breathing toward the one, feeling this circle as a one, and then expanding that one in all directions, merging with the one. And let's say the Sufi invocation together. Toward the one, the perfection of love, harmony and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'd like us to take just a significant piece of time to do the daily meditation practice, or a version of it that most of us are doing. And so I'll just make a few comments throughout, not very many. We'll start with our breath awareness, bringing our breath into a balance, understanding that we've been active, and so the breath is going to want to slow down as we bring it into balance, because now we're sitting. Becoming aware, becoming one-pointed, allowing the breath to move in us in a refined, long and balanced way. We become aware of the quality of life that it draws with its inner current from all of space. Whenever the mind wanders, bringing it back without judgment to the breath, relaxing into the breath, feeling the livingness as we do so. As we do in the purification prayer, asking that this all-pervading life and space that we're imbibing with each breath give us good health and purify our body and our heart and our soul. Breathing with the whole body, and in particular feeling the centered in the heart. We take the phrase Ishq Allah in rhythm with our inhalation and our exhalation, remembering God's love all pervading, breathing in this ocean. And as we continue to breathe in and out God's love, we unite in our feeling, in our heart's connection, in merging in our heart's feeling with our guides, our teachers, with one of the illuminated souls that comes up for you in your heart. One continues to do this in the great web of all connected life, breathing in this way, with this presence, within and without. Taking this opportunity to feel gratitude for our life, for our being, for the one and only being. Now, hearing the sound of the breath as Hu, we enter the one heart of the one and only being. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We have gratitude, we have such thankfulness for that which holds everything in this infinite heart, all possible universes, all possible beings, in this infinite space of oneness, of emptiness, cherishing it all, holding it all in this loving embrace. Hu, 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 hu. Now we're going to begin to move down into awareness of this particular being which you are here, and do breathing in toward the one, breathing out, united with all the illuminated souls. rather breathing, see I'm too high, breathing in toward the one, breathing out the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, feeling all those qualities emanating from that oneness, breathing in the only being, breathing out united with all the illuminated souls, breathing in who form the embodiment of the Master, breathing out the spirit of guidance. So bringing the mind into those patterns will come down into the body, gradually open the eyes. Just continue to breathe in this way, taking the Sufi invocation phrase by phrase, beginning breathing in toward the one. Gradually open the eyes and look at the face of God around you, within and without. This seems like a good time to just, I wanted to, I was reflecting on this class and where we are now in our process, and I've asked you, and I hope some of you are ready to share something here today from your experience. Again, no particular expectation, but just as a way of seeing each other. And this is what came to me when I was reflecting on it, so I just think I'll read it because I like the way it came out. Beloved ones of God, it is with deep gratitude to God, the one and only being, and to all those awakened beings who have realized that perfection as the essence of their souls and who have brought forth the light of its guidance for the awakening of humanity, and particularly with gratitude to Hazrat Pir Murshid Inayat Khan and Pir Murshid Sufi Ahmed Murad Chishti and the caravan of illuminated souls that they embody and represent, that we come to the conclusion of this year of study and practice of the inner school of Sufism viewed through the lens of the breath. We're also grateful to have received this continuing guidance. And thank you all for the quickened interest and full-hearted gift of yourselves to the teachings we've received. We took a journey together, and now we may see that it is an ever-continuing journey. Finding God as the very breath within our breath, we make an enduring relationship with the beloved presence that we now better know how to find and to merge with in different ways. Many practices have been taken up in the course of our study. Some of these have now become established as fundamentals that we can always refer to for orientation and stability, and as a basis for continued exploration. Other practices have allowed us to taste blessings, and from some we may have gotten an aroma of mastery. Others we've barely touched, much yet realized. As long as we are breathing, we can continue to practice what we have learned in this year's work together. So that's where I started, and then I continued. When you'll get this letter with suggestions about how to continue with the practice schedule and so forth, just the things, suggestions for going forward. But I don't want to go into that now because I just wanted to, because being in this atmosphere of gratitude and coming to this place, I participated in lots of things. We have a lot of graduation events in the Saluk Academy, I like the diploma says on the endless path, so so you're not able to. It's any moment of completion in that sense is always an illusion, and it goes on to the next. So it is with this passage together. But I very much appreciated it. And when I think of, with gratitude, I think of the people in Conca Sam who really participated so much to make this a reality. And, I know they're up there, Mandalib and Ollie Cotter and Zubeen, Mary Magdalene are up there making our lunch, and I know that's, but just creating an atmosphere here, and it's so much a part of being in the Conca that to come out and to really serve in this way, because it makes us happy and it makes people happy to do that. So I thought we would take a quiet biological break if people need to do that, and we'll come back, and I think we will begin, and I'll ask some people, maybe do a practice, and then we'll ask people to start sharing some of the stuff. We're not going to do all that at one time because that can become. But some people may be brief, some people may have a practice, some people may lead us in a direction. I want to leave that open to see what's going to happen. So let's take like a 10-minute pause here, and that'll give us an hour and 15 minutes before we break for lunch. Thank you. So the nice thing about taking a break at the end of a meditation is if you don't have to go anywhere, you can just sit there. It's a pepper container. I don't know what it is. Anybody claim this? No.
It's Shafi's, I think it goes on top of this instrument.
Flute, that's it.
Oh,
saxophone.
Yes,
Maybe.
It's a saxophone. Okay. Well, I'm going to. I just want to say, how beautiful it is to see each person's process and what people go through. I mean, just to be here and to be in the light of our seeing is beautiful, and there's, everyone here is loved, accepted, and it's a nice feeling to know that in spite of all of your quirks or flaws or whatever, that there's a place in which, you're accepted and you're seen and you're appreciated, and at least tolerated. Tolerance and then appreciation. The more you get to know somebody, the more you know everything about them, and then you develop that ability to see and love them anyway. Or because of all the things that you see. Anyway, that's my experience, and I know sometimes it didn't feel at all long this morning when people were talking or doing things, but I may take the opportunity, if it does get a little long when we go into this next section, I'll break it up with a little practice here. And this rug, it always blows my mind, because this rug used to be on the floor of my parents' house in Mississippi. When my father had already died, but my mother died, and we were there to help her move out. And my daughter Amina said, I didn't want to take anything. I, being the kind of person I am, I thought, my sister is good with things. Okay, let her have the things. But Amina said, okay. My daughter said she wanted to bring this rug over, so then it landed here in the Conca. And then, so every time I come in and say, oh yeah, okay. And Padilla's finding her place. We have pieces of us are everywhere. That's the thing. We make relationships, and it's all kind of a seeding process that's going on. And I'm very thrilled to hear these stories. It's a way of kind of coming to a kind of a closure about this process. Though the process is ongoing, this particular vehicle of it is ending, and it's good to see just the different ways people take what they receive. It's unique in each one of us to do, and to anyone that may be watching this in, Maryland or, Peru or wherever it may go, who knows where this will go, all this, because there are people, and that, I hope you can feel some of this sense of intimacy and bonding and the way in which a caravan moves together, because we live in a world where we need to develop these connections that are long-distance connections at the same time as being able to touch and feel and move together in the dance to feel that we can touch each other beyond these boundaries. It was Hazrat Naikan that says God is all possible, and human beings define limitation. But our nature is godly. Our nature is nothing but that. So the limitation is what we've learned, and so it's really a process of unlearning for us to enter our real nature. And sometimes it feels like dying, and it is, and it feels like being reborn, and it is, but. And yet it's just the one and only being, as Murshid says, I am that I am, the eternal movement of the one and only being. That breath that is moving through all of existence. And the reality that transcends time, that is the container that has no beginning and end. So here we are discovering our place in it and our piece of it and our way of touching others in our work, in our lives, in our relationships, and and coming to understanding about it. And I'm delighted. You never know. All you can do is bring people to a path that is wholesome, and people must take the path themselves. And so that's what, and any teacher, and anyone, in any capacity, it's not, it's never you. It's you're created by the relationship with the beings that are being drawn towards something. So it's drawn from you or through you. I know of all these esoteric teachings, and yet they're just things unless there's a person that draws it forth to be benefited from it. Otherwise, it's just more useless knowledge. It's when Murshid Sam said, I feel like a mother who is, when the child comes to the breast, the milk comes. And that's definitely the way one feels. So I'm grateful for having a container like this work that draws out what one may know but not know how to use. I learned a lot in doing this class, but I can't remember what it was right now. but I do feel so empowered in what we stand for as a lineage, which is, what Murshid Sam brought, which is to have the courage to show up for your life. To empower people to have the courage to show up for their life, to give them ways in which they can move forward and expand and feel the light within them, and not just see the light and the realization in a teacher that they hold up high, but then when they think about themselves, they don't think they can do it or they've got it or so on, and to so that's what we're all about. And I totally agree that you see more confidence, you see more light, more ease in people as they move along together in this kind of a container. And we try to hold the container. The conch is holding the container, but who's holding our container? We have, these beings here that, are, without their holding, I couldn't hold. I know, and I know that they're, we're all being held by the one and only being, and who loves creation. Everything. That's why Nayaz said, beloved ones of God, every time he came to talk, because everyone is a beloved one of God. But so many of us, feel, everyone but me, or maybe you, or here, but, I don't feel, so, to just that's the one thing, to overcome that so that people can just allow that light within them to shine, and they can have the courage to be with that their process, and then it's going to come out in unique ways. We're not trying to create people that all look the same and act the same and have the same practice and have the same ideas, but to empower the unique value of the soul within each one of us to express itself, and so what I've heard today is. It's confirmation that that's what's going on in our process, sometimes in a wonderful way, beyond what I certainly could have any control over. Thanks, Allah. And I don't know what the plan is on handing out this. Have you handed this out? Have you? Yeah, I don't know if there may be people that aren't going to be coming back tonight, and I don't have time to go into it, but that much now. But I will go into it some tonight, and we will do the dances that I spoke about, and then you can have this to read. But basically, what I said after what I read earlier about the process, I said that what follows are some suggestions of ways that I believe would be useful for those of us who may choose to proceed with this study. So. Just to give a quick review of that, and then we'll go into questions and all the rest of it later tonight, if you like. One is to make a systematic review of the course materials. And what I suggested was that you take your time and revisit each unit of study and go over it in order to deepen and reinforce by repeating it what you've been asked to practice over this period, and not to feel the pressure to move on until you feel some confidence in the different areas that we're working with. Not everyone is going to be, not everyone is going to be wanting to settle in, let's say, the practices of Mushahida and Chagall and some of these so-called advanced practices that we've led ourselves into, may be happier working, with more fundamental practices and getting confidence in that process, because that's what it's all about. Another option that's open is in this first category is to we're going to encourage. I know there are groups of people that are taking this course via long distance, and there'll be a new group that will start up at the beginning of the year that we want to encourage to kind of keep in touch with each other over the course of the year. They're going to use the videos, they're going to use the course materials, the text, they're going to go through it in the same way. We're going to try and create kind of a blog or a virtual support group, since it's not going to be done in person. And since you all already have access to all the materials, you can come along for the ride if you want to, and be a part with this other group that's forming, and some people in this group that want to stay in touch with that kind of group energy. You can. We're going to work on ways to do that, and in a way that embraces people long distance. We had some experience in Saluk, creating virtual study practice. So we'll see what we can put together there, and again, you can be a part of that if you like. I'll just not to go over the details, I'll just go over the Roman numerals. Remember to check in with the condition of your breath periodically throughout the day. These are ongoing practices. Keep a journal that arises from your contemplation of the breath. And the thing about the journal is, for those who haven't been inclined to keep a journal up to this point, might be a good idea. This might be a good time to start one. Just because that gives you a sense of continuity and relationship to practice, because you're getting the feedback from having the journal that's going on. Maintain a regular daily practice, and I already spoke that it didn't necessarily mean doing it at the same time in the same thing every way, but to continue to choose from all these practices that we've done. Maintain a daily meditation, if you can, the way we're doing it. And we've done it in different forms, but to continue it. But from all the other practices, from the purification breaths, the zikr, the wazifa practice, the work with the illuminated souls, the fikr, the walking practices with toward the one, the breaths of the elements, the adding ether to those breaths, the tasawwuri murshid, the kasab, the Chagall, mujahida, and mushahida practices. This is a lot. You don't want to carry all this around as a daily practice, but what you can do is, don't try to do everything at once, but add and subtract things to your daily practice based on the guidance that comes during your inner reflection on the process. So this kind of dovetails with the journal. I mean, if you're reflecting on your breath and on your practice, and you're getting this kind of feedback, and then where the guidance is leading you, then you can take some time in a meditative state to say, okay, what is guidance suggesting that I should do this for this next moon period, or this next month, or this next period, in terms of where should I concentrate. So not to, the mistake is to always measure yourself against the highest goal, to always try and do everything at once. Being a perfectionist then empowers the judge self that comes in and says, see, you're not doing it well enough. So not to fall into that trap, but just to use one's breath, consult the guidance in the breath, to see what to shape in the way of a practice routine that will change according to, okay, now I feel I've worked now with these with this particular aspect of it for a while. I think now I can let that go and do this ahad samad meditation now, or do this other meditation that we did with the descent of the dove, or this or that. You know, I mean, to try come back to some of these things, to revisit them, but not in any way in which you feel the weight of it, but to do it just from what's calling you and from what's being suggested that you need to work with. And the fifth bullet point was akhlaq Allah. We live and move and have our being in God, the only being freely moving with the breath. You feel the presence of God inside you and outside you, and you give space for embracing its spontaneous expression. Now there's a practice to undertake occasionally, you know, when it comes up for you, to give yourself that freedom. You know, I mean, there are no rules there, you know, to move with this inner empowerment is among the highest of things that we can do. And then lastly, to feel gratitude every day. Even when things are really down, to find some way to have some appreciation. Because, you know, just like when we study the Wazaif and we say, Ya Mu'iz, Ya Mudhil, you know, oh, the one who inspires me and raises me up, raises us up, and oh, the one that takes me down into the depths of my deepest, worst place. You know, but that being taken down to the depths of one's deepest and worst place, that mudhil is itself a blessing to be grateful for, because until we hit that place and get and face it and don't run from it, and then we can't hope to change and to heal and to and you know, for myself, I know the most humiliating situations in my life I've learned so much from, so I see God in them. Maybe at the time I didn't see God in them, but now I do. At the beginning, throughout, and at the end, we acknowledge the presence of all the blessings in our lives, as well as the blessing of our precious human life. And we remember to attune with the great community of the heart. There's the one community of heart. You can find it, you know, in the sanghas that you create like this, but you can find it in the inner space of the world. This community of heart is what is holding the well-being of the planet. I mean, once you get in touch with it, you feel all this tremendous grace in the atmosphere of this heart-filled blessing that we are able to join in with. And then, you know that we're never apart. You know, that which you truly love, that which you truly experience in the light, doesn't die. That doesn't die. That continues. So you dissolve the specific mandala, maybe dissolve the specific mandala of the body, but you know, what endures is what's touched that eternal light, that love, that life that doesn't die. So let's just take a minute or two and sit in the silence of our breath and appreciation of all the people that have been a part of this class, that came forward today and that are with us in other parts of the world, and just to enter this community of the heart and to feel gratitude. And why don't we conclude by doing a free Allah? Just everybody sing out Allah and harmonize and freely let it go on for a minute or so. Allah. Let's say the prayer, Nayaz. Beloved Lord, Almighty God, through the rays of the sun, through the waves of the air, through the all-pervading life in space, purify and revivify us, and we pray, heal our bodies, hearts, and souls. Amen. Amen. Does anyone have any questions as we go forward about our practice or about how you might want to approach or not approach things? Yes.
I'm in a work situation. I have a difficult person, and I have to potentially. I need to ask the person to not participate.
Yeah.
And the trouble that I'm finding when I sit with this is that the person has enough boundary considerations and issues that inevitably it hooks those places in me, so that it's hard for me to know when I'm being clear. And if I were God, I might know how to love the person.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, dealing with a situation like that, you need to get into a different kind of state. You know, I mean, I would say, rather than thinking about, I mean, how would God handle this situation? I mean, how
I have to think about the safety of the other people around that are affected. I realize there's other considerations. It's just that because I get hooked, the person could say something about people in the group or about me that seem personal, and I know they're not. Maybe they're just part of the person's issues.
Yeah.
But it's hard not to feel the personal attacks as personal attacks, even if they're not really meant to be.
They are meant to be. I mean, I think I know the situation you're talking about. Yeah, and and so when you're dealing with a disturbed person, you have to understand it's different. You have to really set boundaries. You have to protect other people because you may be able to get into the mixing it up with them and come out of it, and in 2 minutes of meditation or whatever, you're clear and you're fine. But you have a responsibility to an atmosphere, and so that means you don a very firm demeanor, and you know exactly what your limits are that you're going to ask for in advance, and you just shine like the sun in the situation. You don't become a moon in that situation. You become a sun in that situation. and take, because that's your dharma in that situation to do it, and it serves that person's best interest too, because why put them in a situation where they will do further, incur further suffering for themselves and others that they just are bound to generate by giving them without setting the boundaries. But it tests us. It tests us in our goodness. And that's exactly what Murshid is talking about when he says, this is the one thing I see will be a problem, that people will have to learn how to deal with, is this issue of, my sense of goodness tells me never to act that way. But sometimes one should act that way, to be firm, tough love in that sense. Yeah. Akbar, a lot of repetitions of Allaho, Akbar, and to know peace is power. And so that when you are asked to be a vehicle of power and in situations, you're coming from a peaceful place, and you're, even if you do get stirred up, you return to that place. And that that's what's real, and that and what you're clear on what you're doing. Sometimes there's some situations that you don't have to rise to, and some that it is your dharma or your responsibility to rise to, and to learn how to identify those, and then when it's yours to deal with, then not to be afraid, to be strong and to bring what it's needed, but to do that, you have to have some inner relationship with power, with the divine power, and the wazifas are a really good way to engage with it. Right now, in the online course I'm teaching on the class here, we're into the names of omnipotence and power in the wazifa work, and they're just so helpful for people to understand how they can be your friend. We worked with Aziz a lot, as self-worth and the strength of self-worth of knowing that. But then there are others that are similarly important to us to get. And Murshid Sam really transformed himself from being a very inward, sensitive person who was, afraid of that sort of thing, to being a very, very powerful person. I know when I was interviewing Lama Sering, I don't know how many people saw that interview. Has anybody seen that interview? It's up on the Ruhaniat YouTube site. It was a lovely interview, and he knew Murshid Sam when he was 15 years old, and he had made a tremendous impact on his life, and he came to the Northwest Cape, and he came to my workshop in Eugene, and Ali was filming it, and we got it on film. It was really a beautiful interview. But one of the things he just said about saying, he said, Sam was so Jalal. He just was so fearless. It was just such a, and he says, and I've always been just kind of like this, he's really soft. So he said he's the first person to ever touch my heart. That's the thing. It's not whether you're Jalal or Jamal, it's whether you get through, so that's what I would recommend. But I hope, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk about tuning in the mornings, wherever, like through this work, I automatically feel this connection with beings. And in the morning, but sometimes the prayers, I just feel stupid saying toward the one. It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And I still hear Joe screaming, you are the one. And I know I'm not the one sometimes. Very rarely am I the one. But I know it's both.
It is both, yeah.
I know it's both.
Yes, am I.
I know it's both, but I don't want to program myself to say stuff that will limit me. And in a future you know, wherever at any point
Yeah.
in life. Like toward always feels like I'm in the
It's separation,
future,
yeah.
separation
Yeah.
place, and just little distinctions like, you know.
Well, what I do, because if I'm saying words over and over and they don't mean anything to me, I try and find a way to change what I'm saying, because there's no point in it. And if I'm working with toward the one, and it becomes totally stale, and it's just I could be saying blah 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 blah, whatever. I need some. That phrase is supposed to. I think about what is this thing supposed to do? What am I supposed to get by doing this? And what I get is, oh, I'm supposed to remember I'm not separate from the one. So then, and I'm not making this up, this has happened to me, so then, instead of when I'm out there breathing toward the one, and not knowing what I'm saying, I'm breathing, thinking with each breath, remembering the one, remembering that I'm not separate from the one. Remembering that oneness, remembering non-separated oneness, which is what you're saying. You are that, but you forget it. So if you emphasize where you forget, that you've forgotten that you're a part of it, you're saying, I need to go toward it. Then that's the spiritual path, to go, to overcome limitation and become awakened. So take it where it means something. Take the words to where it means something. The words are just where you begin, and then you go to the essence of the words. You have the fikr, using the words, and then you have the fikr you say them aloud, then you say them on the breath with the fikr, and then you just go into what it means. It means, each breath remembering I'm the one. I am in the one. There is only the one. I'm an aspect of the one. The one is, overcoming my idea of that. That's what you're doing, so you don't have to put it into concepts. Just do it. Just do it with each breath. Just be with it. Be with oneness this breath. Be with oneness this breath. That's you take it, instead of saying, okay, I'm not doing it right, you're taking it to a higher level, basically, because you're taking it right into the secret of the fikr. We don't want to get trapped by any concepts, no matter how good they may be, or how well we might be able to defend them in a debate, because essence is beyond all that. Yes?
You actually transformed that in this class for me a while back with the whole first half of the invocation is like the part of us that is tuning to where the dot that gives rise to us, the point of all, the one that we are all part of. That's the whole first half of it. And then the united with the whole second half being all the infinite individuations of that one happening over and over every moment. And I never heard the two parts being like the fullness of a complete circle until you helped me get sort of the the term would be arc of ascent, arc of descent.
Yeah, right.
It's just terms. It's
Yeah.
like it's the completeness of both the undifferentiated wholeness and its infinitely many manifestations. And I've never felt that in the invocation until you recently taught that. And it's been very powerful for me.
Well, you were ready to get it, and that's the thing. And this is something everybody has to get in their own way, because the human being stands here. We're defined, really. I mean, Muhammad defines the human being this way. Ibn al-Arabi does. We have a foot in both worlds. We're right here. We can see both the unlimited and the limited at the same time. We have that faculty, and it meets right here in us. So we're weaving these worlds together, and how we weave it and how we make that beautiful is the art of living, you might I'd say, the art of being a human being. I like these questions. I'm maybe a bit talking too much.
No.
Okay. Somebody else?
Lucy had something.
Yeah.
So, we've had the dot and the circle,
Yeah.
and you've given some breaths like along the vertical plane and some more horizontal plane.
Well, that's for the earth breath.
Right,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
some are more vertical.
Yeah.
And a symbol that comes to me fairly frequently is the symbol for infinity.
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't referred to that symbol, and I kind of observe it, and that's all I do with it. And I kind of feel the breath going along this symbol, and this, you know.
It's a Mobius strip, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if I'm making it up or.
No, no, you don't make. You know, God made us all up, and we made God up. You know, I mean, it's all part of the one mind, and it comes out in these different forms. I've had some beautiful. I had the image. The one that stuck out the most in my inner life as an image was the six-pointed star, but not where it was light that was constantly moving, where they were interlocked in a certain way, and the light was just constantly moving through it. You know, I mean, I never seen it anywhere that I know of. It just came. But you see that image of infinity in the tarot deck. It's over the head of the magician and so on in the different cards in the tarot deck. We haven't used it in here as a symbol to meditate on.
And an unrelated question. You know, we start with 3 toward the ones, and then in the practice you mentioned, you know, having that intention.
Yeah.
And, you know, I often look inside and all I get is quiet, you know, and I've tried to make up intentions, you know, and that. You know,
Well, you have the
obviously
intention to pray. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You have the intention to be present.
Yes.
And to become present for this practice. I mean that's the biggest thing we can do when we do spiritual practice is have the intention to show up. You know, and not to do it while we're thinking about what we're going to do later. You know, but just to show up for it. You know, that's my intention, is to show up for it, to bring my attention to it.
Well, because I started wondering, what did you really mean when you say bring your intent?
Yeah.
Into what does that mean? So thank you for that.
Yeah, that's to me what it generally means. And it's like the biggest gift we can give to others is genuine interest in them, in, you know, not just thinking about what we're going to say next, you know, but just really caring and interest. And, you know, I mean, you can tell when somebody is really turned toward you and is open and listening. I mean, what a tremendous gift people get from that. And I think it's time for us to make one big circle here, and we'll dedicate. So just resting in this atmosphere for a bit in the breath, feeling this vibration here, this circle, this feeling. Just sending it far and wide with the currents of our breath, with all our blessing and goodwill that beings everywhere may prosper and be well and happy and peaceful. And let's say the prayer Khatum. O Thou, who art the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, Lord of heaven and of earth, open our hearts that we may hear Thy voice, which constantly comes from within. Disclose to us Thy divine light, which is hidden in our souls, that we may know and understand life better. Most merciful and compassionate God, give us Thy great goodness, teach us Thy loving forgiveness, raise us above the distinctions and differences which divide. Send us the peace of Thy divine Spirit, and unite us all in Thy perfect being. Amen. Peace be with you. God bless you. You're okay.